Good evening, this is Nisa coming to you live from the Salem Broadcasting Corporation from Broadcasting House here at Nunaville, Freetown. Coming up in tonight's bulletin, Ministry of Health and its partners launch advanced field epidemiology training program to detect and respond to disease outbreaks. Ministry of Technical and Higher Education unveils first ever student loan schemes strategic plan. And Wages and Compensation Commission holds Engagement 2017 Civil Service Job Evaluation Exercise, nearly a decade after it was conducted. All these stories and more are lined up in this edition of the news. Well, we start the news tonight with health issue. The Ministry of Health and the National Public Health Agency and development partners officially launched the Advanced Field Epidemiology Training Program in Freetown. The program is designed to build a cadre of highly skilled public health professionals who can detect, investigate, and respond to disease outbreaks and other public health threats across Sierra Leone. Let's now join our reporter, Joseph Mosure Suma, to tell us more.
The training is expected to strengthen the country's capacity for disease surveillance, data system analysis, and emergency response in line with global health security standards. Speaking at the launch, the Executive Director of the National Public Health Agency, NPHA, Professor Fodesa, said the initiative was rooted from the experience the country faced during the Ebola epidemic. He said Sierra Leone used to seek external help in outbreaks and other health difficulties, but now the country was proud to have Sierra Leonean field epidemiologists who have been deployed in neighboring countries. And by 2031, the agency and the ministry want to ensure at least one trained field epidemiologist is attached to each district across the country.
It is hard for a nation to depend on friends to understand its own suffering. That is the gap that this program is built to close.
Director of African Field of Epidemiology Network, AFINET, Simon Antara, said the launch was a remarkable progress in strengthening public health surveillance systems.
We look forward to standing to provide any support that is within our capacity at the country office level. Mentorship, internship, operational research, collaboration, and putting at your disposal the global networks and contacts of WHO to support this capacity building exercise.
As the College of Medicines and Allied Health Sciences sets to host the program on its campus, the Vice Chancellor and Principal of the University of Sierra Leone, Professor Eyalebi, commended the Ministry of Health, NPHA and its partners for such an initiative. The Deputy Vice Chancellor of College of Medicine and Allied Health Sciences, Commerce, Professor James Russell, also commended the program, which will be hosted at the Department of Public Health and Infectious Diseases. The Minister of Health, Dr. Austin Demby, said government was committed to providing the expertise available that will be able to detect a disease before it spreads over. He said that will be achieved with active research to find out and detect accurately about outbreaks.
If you understand the burden of disease, and you understand disease trends, what does that mean? Is it just something that stays in your head? You walk around, I know, I understand the burden of disease, I know the disease trends. You go beyond that and say, what do you do with this knowledge to prevent an outbreak in the first place? So that's really important. Understanding the burden, understanding the trends. With that knowledge, you're able to prevent an outbreak from occurring.
Partners including WHO, American Embassy CDC, World Bank and other stakeholders pledged their support to ensure the program is sustainable and produces graduates who can serve in the ministry, NPHA, hospitals and communities across Sierra Leone. The first cohort of trainees comprises doctors, nurses, laboratory scientists and surveillance officers selected from across the country. Yusuf Mosiri Suma, SLBC News, Freetown.
The Ministry of Technical and Higher Education has unveiled the Sierra Leone Student Loan Scheme's first strategic plan. The 5-year plan 2025 to 2030 aims to expand access to affordable financing for higher education by increasing loan beneficiaries from 168 in 2023 to 10,000 in 2030. The plan's validation ceremony held at the Minister of Finance Conference Hall on George Street in Freetown brought together educationists and other stakeholders to review and strengthen the strategic document ahead of its implementation. Susanette Bassey has more.
With more than 100,000 students currently pursuing higher education across the country, the demand for accessible and sustainable student financing continues to grow. The new strategic plan is expected to address this challenge by creating a more transparent, equitable and efficient loan scheme. Presenting the strategic framework, consultant Andrew John explained that the plan provides a comprehensive roadmap for the scheme's implementation over the next 5 years. He said the document prioritizes effective resource allocation, stakeholder engagement, risk management, and performance monitoring. According to him, the scheme aims to support 10,000 students by 2030, while improving loan recovery through the introduction of a digital repayment platform. Repayment compliance, he added, is projected to increase from 25% in 2025 to 80% by 2030. Chairperson of the Board of Trustees of the Sierra Leone Student Loan Scheme, Aissata Sita Kaikai, praised the plan in building a sustainable student financing system.
Since the establishment of the scheme, we have made inspiring progress in supporting postgraduate students and laying the institutional foundation for a sustainable revolving loan program. We have also gained valuable lessons that now position us to confidently expand into undergraduate financing while strengthening governance, operational systems, resource mobilization, and loan recovery mechanisms.
The Minister of Technical and Higher Education, Dr. Hajar Matulai Wuri, said the strategic plan was aligned with the government's development agenda and complements the existing grants in aid program by widening access to higher and technical education.
Ladies and gentlemen, the strategic plan before us is not simply a document filled with activities and timelines. It is a statement of our national ambition. It asks a straightforward question. How do we build a higher education financing system that expands opportunities while remaining financially responsible? That question matters because education is one of the strongest investments any country can make.
Student representatives welcomed the initiative but called for greater inclusivity, noting that the current student loan scheme primarily targets master's students and does not adequately address the financial needs of undergraduate students, who constitute the largest segment of learners facing financial constraints.
The loan scheme is a very good initiative, that I can tell you, but there are a number of concerns we want to raise as student leaders. And here are our concerns. Firstly, the student loan scheme at the moment is not catering for undergraduate students and those in technical and vocational institutions. And I tell you, the most vulnerable students amongst us are those in undergraduate program.
Once implemented, the 5-year strategic plan is expected to serve as the blueprint for expanding equitable access to higher and technical education while ensuring the long-term sustainability of the Sierra Leone Student Loan Scheme. For SLBC News, Esther Suzanette Bassi reporting.
The United Methodist University has hosted a student seminar aimed at promoting innovation, sustainability, and youth-led development through entrepreneurship. The seminar brought together students, academics, entrepreneurs, youth leaders, and other stakeholders to discuss opportunities in social and green entrepreneurship. Francis Moyo reports.
The Dr. James Sanfa Koroma School of Business and Entrepreneurial Studies at the United Methodist University campus on King Hammer Road in Freetown organized a student seminar under the theme Social and Green Entrepreneurship. The initiative forms part of the university's broader commitment to promoting excellence, integrity, and service while preparing students to become responsible leaders capable of addressing national and global development challenges through entrepreneurship, with discussions focused on sustainable business practices and practical solutions to contemporary social and environmental challenges. The Public Relations Officer and lecturer of the university, Reverend Raymond Williams, explained what entrepreneurship is about and how it is connected to the environment.
Entrepreneurship has traditionally been associated with creating businesses that generate profits, create jobs, and stimulate economic growth. However, the challenges of the 21st century, including climate change, environmental degradation, poverty, unemployment, poor healthcare, and social inequality, have expanded the role of entrepreneurs.
The seminar provided participants with valuable knowledge, exposed them to create networking opportunities, and inspire young people to become agents of positive change within their communities. Student Marina Sise spoke on the importance of entrepreneurship and encouraged young people to embrace it.
Roles entrepreneurs do in our nation and the things young people should embark on rather than waiting for government jobs. How, in a sense, we need to create jobs for ourselves. We need to innovate new things instead of waiting. And youth are wasting their life out there because they lack the knowledge of entrepreneurship.
Student Kelvin Fode explained how important the seminar is to students of the university and people.
And so one of the primary goals as the United Methodist University that stands for innovation, that stands to shape the critical thinking of us students, is to ensure that we bring seminars that center about social and entrepreneurial skills and how these things can be structured and how students and people can be able to function properly in society and to meet up the challenges in the world at large.
As interest in sustainable development continues to grow, the seminar empowered participants with knowledge, skills, and networks needed to transform innovative ideas into practical solutions that benefit communities across Sierra Leone. For SLBC News, Francis Moyo reporting.
The Wages and Compensation Commission has engaged key stakeholders on the implementation of the 2017 Civil Service Job Evaluation Exercise, nearly a decade after it was conducted. The engagement brought together key government institutions to review progress and charts the way forward. Suri Kamara has more.
The meeting held at the Commission's headquarters on Bath Street in Brookfields brought together representatives from the Office of the President, the Public Service Commission, the Human Resource Management Office, and the Public Sector Reform Units. Addressing participants, Director of Job Analysis, Evaluation and Classification at the Wages and Compensation Commission, Joseph Abu, said the engagement was intended to review the grading system developed for the civil service and strengthen the Commission's preparedness for future public sector job evaluation exercises.
We want to strengthen collaboration. We will not be working in silos. We want to strengthen collaboration with these key players. HRMO, public sector reform units, and other key stakeholders to support us in our job evaluation and remuneration reforms.
The 2017 exercise recommended a unified grading structure for the civil service using a standardized job evaluation scheme to promote equal pay for equal work. The exercise sought to ensure that jobs are graded according to their value rather than the individuals occupying them. In a detailed presentation on the exercise, Senior Assistant to the Secretary to the President, Patsy Kawa, noted that some recommendations have already been implemented. He cited the establishment of the Wages and Compensation Commission as one of the key outcomes of the exercise.
Before the job evaluation, we didn't have a codified or proper means of developing job descriptions. So one key recommendation of the job evaluation was to develop job description for the entire civil service, and that has been ongoing. The Human Resource Management Office has that responsibility. I was in that office when we did the evaluation, so apparently we have done, before I left there, go to the office of the President, we've done quite a huge number of job descriptions for almost all positions within the civil service. There was also a recommendation to develop a competency framework for the civil service. That has been done. The competency framework is a kind of guide for our training purposes, wherein, for example, the civil service training college, now they call it the public service academy. If they want to do a training, they are benchmarked a certain level of competence you should have before you are promoted to the next level.
Mr. Kawa, however, acknowledged that salary harmonization remains one of the most challenging recommendations to implement, describing it as dicey. As the institution charged to implement the recommendations from the job evaluation exercise, Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Wages and Compensation Commission, Prince Bio, said they have laid down a clear roadmap in that direction, adding that some issues required broad consultation and sustained commitment from governments.
What we have achieved so far, we have started the harmonization process. We have done study tour. We are still researching. We are still getting data. The process is ongoing. It's not yet concluded. So what we have achieved so far is that we now have a roadmap ahead of us. We are not grappling in the dark. We know exactly where we want to go. And we know those who have to go along with us to help us achieve job evaluation. We have engaged some external partners like the ILO, who will give us professional guidance. So this is a roadmap. The achievement we have got today is that we now know exactly our way forward.
The 2017 job evaluation exercise was conducted by the government of Sierra Leone through the Human Resource Management Office with support from the World Bank under the Public Sector Pay and Performance Projects. It was designed to establish a fair, transparent, and consistent grading and pay structure across the civil service. Suri Kamara, SLBC News, Freetown.
The Freetown City Council has begun a demolition exercise targeting billboards erected within the necessary approved within the municipality. The council says the move is part of efforts to regulate outdoor advertising and maintain the outdoor value of the city. Orwin Fox has the report.
In an effort to address what is described as the unregulated proliferation of outdoor advertisement, the Freetown City Council has embarked on an exercise to remove illegal billboards, banners, posters, and handbills across the municipality. The exercise, according to the council, is being carried out under the provisions of the 2010 Statutory Nuisance Bylaw, which gives the authority the mandate to regulate the erection of billboards in collaboration with the Sierra Leone Roads Authority (SLRA). The Chief Administrator of the Freetown City Council, Raman Tomfama, said the decision followed concerns over the increasing number of billboards being erected without the required permit.
By the statutory bylaw is very clear that every institution or agent who want to erect a billboard, should seek permission from the Freetown City Council. And if you could see, if we are regulating the affairs of billboard, it means we have to ensure that the artistic value of the municipality of Freetown is being maintained. But we've seen proliferation of billboards all over the municipality, and these are unregulated. So we want to ensure that people abide by the law, so that at the end of the day, the municipality will be able to, you can be able to see the value, the artistic value of the municipality.
He further stated that prior notices were issued to agents, businesses and institutions involved in outdoor advertising, informing them of the council's authority and the need to comply with existing regulations. The council has warned that individuals and institutions found violating the regulations will face penalties, while encouraging advertisers to obtain the necessary approvals before erecting billboards. For SLBC News, Alwyn Roy Fox reporting.
Save the Children has concluded a two-day workshop on emergency preparedness planning, bringing together key stakeholders to strengthen disaster response strategies in Sierra Leone. The workshop focused on using past data and current knowledge to better prepare for future fires, flooding, and hunger, especially disasters affecting children and women across the country. Emmanuel Williams reports.
Stakeholders from across different sectors and institutions gathered for a two-day emergency preparedness workshop organized by Save the Children, aimed at strengthening a response mechanism to disaster and humanitarian crises. Facilitators said the workshop was focused on using existing knowledge and evidence to identify potential risks relating to fire, flooding, and hunger, and improve preparedness strategies. The discussion also reviewed data from previous disasters, helping stakeholders understand trends and strengthen future planning efforts. According to the head of Emergency Preparedness Project, Hakim Sharif, the two-day workshop was aimed to carefully look at the persistent disaster and their potential risks and devise ways to better prepare and respond to them in the future.
For those that are working in the humanitarian space, preparedness is less expensive than response. So we believe in investing in preparedness, in anticipatory actions, than in response itself. When you prepare well, as an organization, as a country, as a whole, then we are better placed to respond when disaster does strike. But also, it also helps us in terms of reducing the impact it have on the population. So the objective of this workshop, like I said, is to review what are the existing risks, what triggers we need to put in place, where are the information coming from, how accurate are they, but also to come up with a response plan that reflects different actors in the space, that reflect our collective good.
The Chief Commissioner for Persons with Disabilities, Brema Sharif, said this workshop was very important because it captured the concerns of persons with disabilities to help them plan effectively for any possible danger in the future. Bintu Kamara from the National Fire Force embraced the move, noting that it was a good platform to share experience. She said public education remains one key priorities to enable communities respond to fire disasters.
Now, we're pre-positioning a lot of items in communities, but we're not pre-positioning assistive devices for people with disabilities. So if flooding occurs and there's no wheelchair, how do we get this? How do we evacuate them in such circumstances? Or you don't even know that people with disability are living in that community. The issues about early actions, if you understand that this is happening, if there are people with disability in communities, you want to evacuate them even before the disaster occurs. But if you don't know that they're there, you don't know how to support them, you don't know their special needs, you will not be able to support them.
One question that was posed to me as a rep was how we can prevent fires. And I've informed them that the only way we can have fires being prevented to a larger extent is by us having a robust fire prevention sensitization. You know, we need to teach people on what they should do to prevent fires before they do occur.
With increasing risks of disasters, stakeholders were confident that preparedness planning like this is key to protecting lives and building resilient communities. Organizers said the outcome of the workshop will guide future interventions and improve coordination among agencies and communities. For LCBC News, Emmanuel Williams reporting.
As the China-Sierra Leone relations clocks 55 years, the Director General of the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation, SLBC, Josephine Camara, has engaged in an online interview with the China Global Television Network, CGTN, journalist Ling Dong. The meeting discussed key issues strengthening media cooperation between China and Sierra Leone through strategic partnerships, capacity building, and collaborative storytelling. Abdul Mansari reports.
The discussion between the SLBC's DG Josephine Camara and CGTN journalist Li Dongjin explored the long-standing diplomatic ties between the two countries, China's development experience, economic cooperation, and the evolving role of the media in promoting mutual understanding. CGTN journalist Li Dongjin described the relationship between China and Sierra Leone as one that extends beyond diplomacy to encompass strategic cooperation and strong people-to-people connections.
The trade relations, I think we pay a lot of attention on the real stories happen in those fields, in how to, to co-develop, let's say co-develop, not only the single way of trading, or not only about trading, it's all about training and helping the local economy as well.
Speaking on China's contribution to Sierra Leone's healthcare sector, Li said Chinese medical teams have treated more than 1 million patients while helping to strengthen the country's health system by training over 5,000 Sierra Leonean medical professionals by 2025. She added that the partnership has consistently demonstrated its value during periods of national need, reinforcing China's reputation as a trusted and reliable development partner.
I think the evolution of health cooperation offers a good example. The two countries have moved from sending medical teams and building hospital to paired hospital mechanism, telemedicine, and in 2026, as far as I know, a nursing training center as well. So I think that is a shift from providing a service to strengthening the ability to provide that service locally.
CGTN journalist Li Dongjin said China to Sierra Leone cooperation should focus on building local capacity through training and skills development rather than long-term dependence. On media cooperation, SLBC's DG and CGTN journalists called for stronger collaboration between CGTN and SLBC through joint productions, journalist exchanges, and professional training to promote balanced reporting and strengthening media capacity in both countries. SLBC News, Abdul Mansari reporting.
You are watching Neza Community Live from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation from a broadcasting house here in Freetown. The embattled president of the Sierra Leone Bar Association has defended her administration's record and reaffirmed the need for an independent bar association during a town hall meeting held at the Freetown City Council Conference Hall in Freetown. Tuma Adama Gentu Kamara also used the occasion to outline her vision for strengthening the legal profession, and she hopes for re-election this weekend. Let's now join Orin Roy Fox again.
The town hall opened with discussions surrounding the events that unfolded during the Sierra Leone Bar Association annual general meeting in Kenema, an issue that has remained at the center of public and professional debate. Addressing participants, Madam Gento Kamara reflected on what she described as key achievements of her administration, including the acquisition of land for a permanent Sierra Leone Bar Association secretariat and the introduction of a pension scheme for private legal practitioners in collaboration with the National Social Security and Insurance Trust (NASID).
So I must be clear, this leadership is not about me, it's about us. The progress we have seen in recent months, securing the land for the Bar Association Secretariat, advancing learning exchanges abroad, and most importantly, the enrollment of the private practitioners into NASID's pension scheme is the result of collective will and collaboration.
She also unveiled proposals aimed at strengthening continuous legal education for lawyers across the country. Among the proposed initiatives are subsidies for young legal practitioners, the establishment of a digital legal resource center, online learning opportunities, and closer collaboration with the Sierra Leone Law School to improve professional development within the legal fraternity. Responding to questions on the financial management of the association, Madam Gento Kamara said her executive inherited limited funds upon assuming office in 2024, prompting the opening of a new bank account and implementation of measures aimed at improving transparency and accountability in the management of the association's finances. The embattled Bar Association president also addressed concerns surrounding the 2024 annual general meeting in Kenema, which was marred by controversies. While apologizing to members of the association for the events that unfolded, she maintained that she was not part of the executive responsible for organizing the meeting and therefore had no role in the decisions that led to the incident.
I took no role in the Kenema decision making that led to what it led to. A lot had happened. As I said, to me, I see it as a straw that broke the camel's back. I had painfully gone through a pattern, a series of events that led up until we got to Kenema and colleagues behaving that way. That is why I will make this categorically clear here that I am pleased with me having an opponent. I wouldn't have wanted to go unopposed. It shows the democratic process.
The Public Relations Officer of the Sierra Leone Bar Association, Alfred Commander, assured members that if the current leadership was returned to office, measures would be put in place to ensure that the circumstances surrounding the Kenema's AGM were not repeated. The interactive session concluded with participants posing questions on legal reforms, governance within the Bar Association, and the future direction of the legal profession in Sierra Leone. For SLBC News, Alwyn Roy Fox reporting.
Parliament has held its longest debate ever. Deliberations that began around 11 a.m. on Tuesday ran until 3 a.m. the next day. Amidst all those long hours of debate, members from both halves of the aisle held on their position. At the end, the bill was committed to the Legislative Committee for proper scrutiny. The bill pushes for major changes to the 1991 Constitution, which touch on elections like the proportional representation, the establishment of a search and nomination committee to appoint electoral commissioners, and introducing a 30% quota for women to contest elections, among others. Let's now join our parliamentary correspondent, Dennis Fraser, Uswait Hall.
What started like a friendly spar among lawmakers went to becoming the longest debates in the history of Sierra Leone's parliament. Standing Order 59 is used whenever crucial bills are brought to the plenary, debated, and needed further scrutiny. This was executed by the leader of government business, Honorable Matthew Sanyuma, after hours of heated debates between the government bench and the opposition lawmakers. on the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2025. During the first and second reading by the Attorney General Minister of Justice Alpha Sise, who told plenary that several consultations were held nationwide, including receiving position papers from various institutions.
People, we should embrace this moment as a historic opportunity for democratic renewal in our country. Because this is not merely about legal reform. It is about strengthening the bedrock of our democracy.
Across the political divide, each of the provisions for amendment on electoral reforms was contested, both parties coming up with convincing arguments to win the debate.
You know when I'm losing, I just not for nothing, by election. From the first time we vote, it has just the decision at every level. It doesn't matter the political party, whether the person is independent, whether it's SLPP, whether it's APC, what it has shown, everyone. Every constituency is provided with an adequate representation.
If you elect a president from 50 plus 1, that president already secured the confidence of half of the electorate. Why do you need a supermajority?
Perhaps the only clause that almost received general consensus was the clause of Section 38E, which proposes to guarantee constitutional backing of the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Act 2022 on 30% female political representation. However, the debate saw a U-turn after female MPs on the opposition All People's Congress Party bench supported the 30% quota, while the ruling party MPs believe the proportional representation enhances the 30% quota. The opposition stoutly contested that.
If you are so passionate about women, like I said earlier, why were the sex state not created? If you are so confident in wanting to see and wanting independence and inclusion, why are we using the PI system that is going to exclude smaller parties?
I want to encourage every woman in this world representing Sierra Leone women to support the PI system, because it is only through that we are going to maintain the gains that we play.
One of the key provisions in the bill is the threshold a presidential candidate should get before being declared a winner. For the Sierra Leone People's Party MPs, the 50% plus one vote is enough, as opposed to what is entrenched in the current Supreme Law, which is 55%. The APC legislators had a counter-opinion on this proposal, citing that a winner must secure 55%, as that reflects its national acceptance.
We may be against amending certain clauses of this constitution, but we are not entirely against amending this document. So, Mr. Speaker, with the expectancy that we're going to follow due process, I want to assure you, general public, and colleagues, members of Parliament, that we on this other side are going to be very constructive, combative, and deliberately install the flag of Sierra Leone on my chest. Today, we are going to.
For us, as I said, the interest of this country comes first. And we should be seeing all of us speaking on one note in the interest of Sierra Leone. Our differences on policies are there. But we should sit down and discuss them in the interest of the nation.
As the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2025 lies with the Legislative Committee, the nation awaits eagerly on the outcome before it is presented to the Committee of the Whole House for enactment. SLBC, Dennis Fraser reporting.
It is about a month ago when government announced the reduction in prices of various petroleum products across the country. Now, commercial bike riders, drivers, and other consumers of fuel complain of its scarcity in that last 48 hours. Our reporter, Esther Susanette Bassi, visited some filling stations in the western area.
This has become a familiar scene whenever fuel becomes scarce, as speculation goes over the possible increase and decrease in fuel prices. Long queues continue to form at fuel filling stations still operating. Riders say they are spending hours searching for fuel, making it difficult to earn their living. They are therefore calling on government and fuel suppliers to urgently resolve the situation.
Frustration is mounting among commercial transport operators as fuel scarcity hits across the capital, with many filling stations remaining closed. Commercial bike riders and drivers find it very difficult to access fuel as their search continues. They predict a possible increase as the reason for such scarcity at the moment.
Since yesterday, there has been scarcity of fuel. All other fuel stations are closed, while some others refuse to sell. If they want to increase it, let it be increased, rather than us experiencing such strain.
A Keke rider, Alan, also expresses similar concern and frustration over the shortage of fuel across the country.
From yesterday, like this fear crisis don't come.
Since yesterday, around 2 o'clock, I have not been able to move because I could not get fuel. Since this morning, I have not been able to get any fuel. We just want them to look into the matter and allow fuel to be sold so we can work. People are passing through difficulties and we depend on this work every day.
Some of we now through this Keke riding with the take survive.
Meanwhile, it's also observed that while most filling stations are seen closed, other fuel stations like Malador, IMY, Gemans, and others continue to sell fuel. The appeal is for authorities concerned to intervene as the current situation disrupts the activities of many people, including their livelihoods. SLBC News, Esther Susanette Bassi reporting.
To enhance financial inclusion for persons living with disability, the AfriCell Impact Foundation has commissioned a new telemarketing center at the Miltimagai School for the Blind in Freetown. The initiative seeks to create job opportunities for visually impairment in Sierra Leone, including pupils of the Miltimagai School for the Blind. Francis Moyo witnessed the event and now reports.
Not accessing financial services has been a major challenge for persons living with disability. This structure, built by AfriCell, a mobile network operating in Sierra Leone under its AfriCell Impact Foundation, is here to address that challenge. The telemarketing center at the Miltimagai School for the Blind in Freetown underscores AfriCell's commitment to promote diversity, accessibility, and social inclusion through sustainable community investments. The initiative is expected to provide meaningful employment opportunities and practical skills training for visually impaired Sierra Leoneans, enabling them to participate more actively in the country's growing digital economy.
Healing is one that words cannot actually express. As individuals living with disabilities, these are some of the opportunities we look forward to. If you say you should promote inclusion, you should not only say it, but you should do it in action, and that is exactly what AfriCell has demonstrated right here today, of which we are very, very much grateful, and we are looking forward to seeing more organizations, business, both government and private, emulating. We look forward to them emulating such actions, because it is only through that that you can truly promote inclusion in action, not just in words or on paper.
The opening ceremony was not only graced by executive heads of AfriCell, but attracted government officials, development partners, representatives of organizations supporting persons with disability, and members of the diplomatic community to witness such an event.
I'm so happy, I'm so delighted. This is my first ever, and also the first ever in the history of Sierra Leone, to be specific, for such an amazing work. The AfriCell is able to employ over 20 people, talk about 24 people of persons living with disability, to have a capacity, to have something that is dignified for themselves to earn for their family and for themselves. We are so grateful for the staff that is sent to us to tell us. That is Mr. Dukwe and Madam Khadija. They've done so well. They have passion in their job, and they prove that disability is not an ability.
The principal of Miltimagai School for the Blind in Freetown, Saliu Toure, spoke about the graduates employed by Africell at the Telemarketing Center.
A dream come true. I feel great. I feel delighted. I feel very pleased that Africell mobile company, being first of its kind, has chosen the Miltimagai School for the Blind for this great partnership and establishing an employment center for disabled people.
The Africell Impact Foundation is intended to advance inclusive employment and extend opportunities for persons with visual impairments, reinforcing the message that inclusion begins with opportunity. For SLBC News, Francis Moore reporting.
The St. George Foundation has begun the construction of a new psychosocial support center and community playground following a sort of turning ceremony held at its Grafton headquarters. Its executive director, Justina Conte, described the project as a major milestone that will strengthen mental health and counseling services for vulnerable children. Here is the report.
I believe among the 111 projects being executed by our company, this is one of the projects that are catered for vulnerable children.
The turning of sword marked the commencement for the construction of a new psychosocial support center and recreational facility for the foundation and the Grafton community in general.
I therefore commit this place in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, in Jesus' name.
The move reaffirms St. George Foundation's commitment to supporting the children of Sierra Leone by responding to the immediate needs of vulnerable children. Executive Director, St. George Foundation, Justina Conte, described the project as a major milestone in the Foundation's more than 20 years journey of serving vulnerable children in Sierra Leone. She said the new psychosocial support center would strengthen mental health and counseling services for vulnerable children, while the community playground will provide a safe space where children can play, interact, and thrive.
St. George works with vulnerable children, all categories of vulnerable children. And we have the home, but the home is not just, it's just part of the services that we provide for children that are vulnerable. So what we are intending to put here and what we are intending to do here in the next couple of months to here is we are developing a psychological center, office, and a playground for children.
Madam Conte lauded the Foundation's donor partners for their continued support and welcomed new collaborations to help expand services for vulnerable children and families across the country. Speaking on behalf of the Board of Trustees of St. George Foundation UK, James Sunfield described the project as an investment in the future of children and called for continued fundraising to support its completion, noting that the facility would also become a home of Peking Talk Radio, providing children with the platform to share their experiences, express their views, and amplifying their voices.
About 2,500 children have had the privilege of staying here, and they've been supported by the amazing staff of St. George Foundation. With the starting of the playground and the support of the ministers and learned guests here today, we can expand the facility and we can provide more care and more support to the children that really need that support. On behalf of the UK trustees, we're very, very grateful that you started this journey, and we're here to support you to take that to its full completion.
Representatives from the Ministries of Social Welfare, Planning and Economic Development appreciated St. George Foundation for its continued partnership with the government and its commitment to improving the lives of vulnerable children through critical investment in child protection and community development. Community representatives from Moriba and the Western Area Rural District Council also welcomed the project, noting that the recreational facility will provide children with a safe recreational space while contributing to the overall well-being of families within the districts. Upon completion, the new psychosocial support center
The community playground and future home of Peking Talk Radio will significantly expand St. George Foundation's ability to provide care, psychosocial support, and safe spaces where children can heal, play, and have their voices heard.
This is news coming to you live from Salon Broadcasting Corporation from a broadcasting house here in Freetown. Let's now take some stories making headlines around the world.
This is the international news, and I am Stella Bangura. The United States and Iran each fired barrages of missiles as the pattern of back-and-forth strikes took hold again, and hope dimmed for any quick resolution. The spiraling violence underscored the difficulty of winding down a 5-month conflict that has sent the price of fuel and other basics soaring, jolted the world economy. The latest barrage came after the U.S. partnered with Saudi Arabia to strike Iran-backed militias in Iraq, killing at least 20 fighters and 6 Iranian advisors. The negotiations between the parties are ongoing to normalize the situation, particularly the situation in the Strait of Hormuz, and as well to de-escalate. Authorities in Qatar asked the government in Madrid to declare a national emergency and requested army intervention as thousands crossed into the tiny Spanish territory. The escalation at the border between Spain and Morocco comes after a surge in migrants attempting to reach the small exclave on the North African coast, mainly by swimming. The scenes of people streaming across the frontier recall the border crisis of May 2021, when more than 8,000 migrants poured into Qatar in just 2 days. Those attempting the crossing are mainly Moroccans, along with a small number of Algerians who had been living in Morocco while trying to migrate to Europe, according to the activists in Morocco and Qatar. Amnesty International is calling for a war crimes investigation after at least 19 Malian soldiers were allegedly executed despite surrendering. The rights group is calling for an independent investigation after analyzing videos from the July 18th attack on a military convoy leaving the northern town of Anafis. The convoy had been ambushed by Tuareg separatists and fighters from the Al-Qaeda-linked group. Amnesty says international humanitarian law gives absolute protection to anyone who has surrendered or is otherwise out of action. The United Nations has also demanded an investigation into the killings as Mali's military government faces mounting pressure over a worsening insurgency that continues to challenge its promise to restore security. And finally, for the international news, authorities have dismantled the crude makeshift meth lab after an ongoing trial involving 3 Mexican nationals took a day to hold court proceedings on site last week. Meth seizures and raids on labs in Nigeria have been on the rise since 2011, according to a 2019 report from the Institute for Security Studies, as Latin American specialists exported their expertise to the country. West Africa's ports have become popular stopover points for transcontinental cocaine shipments bound for Europe, and some contraband slips into domestic drug markets, a development the region's poorly funded health services can hardly handle. Other substances like meth can be produced locally. And that is the end for international news. I have been your presenter, Stella Bangura. Do stay tuned.
Many thanks to Stella Bangura for that international news. We're now to end the news. The main point again. The Minister of Health, the National Public Health Agency, and government partners have officially launched the Advanced Field Epidemiology Training Program in Freetown. The program is designed to train public health personnel who can detect and respond to disease outbreaks. The Minister of Technical and Higher Education has unveiled the Sierra Leone Student Loan Scheme's 4th strategic plan. The 5-year plan aims to expand access to affordable financing for higher education by increasing loan beneficiaries from 168 in 2023 to 10,000 by 2030. The Wages and Compensation Commission has engaged key government stakeholders on the implementation of the 2017 Civil Service Job Evaluation exercise nearly a decade after it was launched. Well, all that's all for you in this edition of News Hour, which came to you live from the Salon Broadcasting Corporation, a broadcasting house here at Newmanville in Freetown. News Hour comes up tomorrow at 8 a.m. I've been your news anchor, Ibrahim Samura. Have a night rest. Goodbye.